Okay, you're good to go.
Well, good afternoon. Welcome. Let's call this meeting to order. I guess the first order of business is to review and approve the financials for the 2003, the March 2003. I think they were sent out.
Yes.
I mean, there were some highlights. I think from March.
Sorry. There we go.
As far as, the cash increase due mostly to the normal operating expenses, the cash, we have account that stockyard should increase to 15,000 to 16,000 because of the March contracted payments. We had some prepaid expenses decreased $1,853 because of the March portions of the DNO liability insurance. And then the payables decreased $20,062 because of the March contract payments will be paid for after the month.
Do you need an agenda?
Right.
Do you need an agenda? Agenda? Do you?
Income statement. We earned this, what, $3,000 worth of interest in stock account. And the expenses for the month, they were normal. So really nothing out of the norm.
So the payment for the legal fees. Members also reading that. This out. See. Those are the ones.
I think we did that last.
No, I've got a resolution for you all to approve it
But
today. Okay.
the 7,604.
Should we do approving those before the disbursement for the bylaws?
Anybody, if we were to pull it, anything got a lot of work. We don't get those paid, so and that kind of.
So I got 80 policies.
Understand the process. We want to pay what needs to be paid. Maybe next time we can get those, I'm not gonna be contentious in this meeting. I appreciate your question. We can pay the bills and pay them on time. And
Yeah, I mean, we'll process things however you all would like them processed, and we definitely are not like anxious for our check.
Two. Mike, this is.
I think that somehow those are operations. And I don't know if all the operating expenses and music going to the book, we need to see those, and if we have questions about those.
That's the question I was gonna raise. Currently, bylaws has this $1,000 plan, and we talked about that at the last committee meeting was for. One of the things that they want to consider is whether you want to change that $1,000.
Excuse me 1 second, Laura. Let me just make sure that Dr. Craddock can hear. Dr. Craddock, can you hear okay?
Yes, ma'am, I can.
Okay, excellent. What's that turn?
Consider is does it want to address $1,000 claim in the bylaws? It's my understanding that when that bylaw was passed, that Rita was the only person he was working with the board, and there was a concern that things be viewed very closely. We had got to the point where interim had been appointed, but it may be entirely unworkable. And I think it is to have a $1,000 for this board and committee. So, so
If I may add to that, Laura's right. And I think, Jim Michael, you remember when we were trying to get started. So that $1,000 limit was because I wanted something in place. And that was the rent amount of money. That was like the highest other than my fee that we were paying. That was temporary. So definitely that needs to be changed so that operations can function in the manner in which we need to.
I know. Specifically, Amy's group, guys would do like a monthly retainer and that and
I think that is actually, Laura and I discussed that when I first came on, because we both first came on at the same time, and around the beginning of July. And at the time, I had no clue of volume and what would be a fair price, partly because, some industries you can charge a retainer and charge a monthly fee and hope it evens out, but we have ethics rules that are a little weird about how we charge. So we can do a retainer, and I think I can do that now, that we have a track record of kind of what it's been done. And so that is something we can change our engagement letter to be on a monthly retainer basis as opposed to the hourly rate.
I know we have at least 6 months of insurance.
Yeah, no, and it's been,
But
It's
this
been
is
running,
the second bill.
yeah, because I got bogged down when I was in trial.
There were several.
But it's been running about 3,000. So I could probably safely do, and not mess over the firm, get 2,500. I'll have to, run that around here, but I'm not gonna get pushed back. But it is, and in fact, it is time to revisit and go either to a flat fee per month or a revised blended hourly rate. Some, because we now know, what we're dealing.
So what about the original question that I just raised about the limit by us or the by the committee? By the board action. It's currently $1,000.
Yeah. That was temporary. So we need to look at something that's more reasonable.
What do we think we see? What sort of things? Are we
Can we
expecting?
talk about the mayor, thank you.
Also,
So that'd be the financial service, the vendor, that where we're supposed to start with. So we had talked to, Amy had talked to, Wendell talked to Baird, and what they really wanted to do was do a $2,500 to help us make sure we get everything structured. And, they would do it for free, but they don't want to be precluded from any service that we may want them to do and be able to do. So we will pay them for the service until they get on anything that they get with. So then, in my opinion, one of the things that I would ask them to look at is this structure, and then I would say, hey, what is a good amount for us to make sure that operationally we can still operate and, it would still be another set of eyes, Baird would be looking at the things that would be coming through, and then the finance committee should still be able to see those too, but it would just be multiplied. But my thing, I don't know, I would want them to look at the financial picture to see what we would need to do. But what dollar amount that would need to be, before we just arbitrarily pick them.
That makes a lot of sense as far as, especially with their track record with
Yeah.
other groups, as far as what would be a good threshold, but you're not having to
Right.
provide your bylaws every 6 months.
Exactly.
Yes.
They've seen stuff.
Yeah. I think that makes a lot of sense.
But now, I just want to get, I guess this body, needs to be prepared to, recommend to the full board that we use there for the financial services for the 20,000. For full approval.
They have the write up, like 2,500 excluded.
Well, I have a copy of their, we don't have the full scope of services yet. Chip and I have gone back and forth a little bit, and it's way better legal. So, as soon as I get that, I can send that out to the whole group. It is going to read something along the lines of to assist with the following tasks, including attending the finance committee and board meetings as needed, helping build out the team necessary to carry forward the mission, and assist in the selection of service providers and pursuing economic development initiatives.
It's how long? Term.
It's on a month to month that we can terminate on 30 days, and they can too. So either we feel like we're not getting our money's worth, or they need a higher rate and want to negotiate either side. So that's where we are now, and should have a revised scope proposal there in Boston in the next day or so.
When I take this to the full board, I want this to be on the same page as far as we have.
We have a couple of days. Strong.
I think we have about you know. When is the board meeting?
Monday.
So at the end of the week, to get it Friday at the latest, we would have the meeting to look over. Hopefully you would have it before then, but at the latest. Okay, yeah, so I just want to wait on that. As far as that makes sense. Awesome. Now, what about this discussion as far as a residential homeowner short term? I mean, my thing is, do all that, but we definitely need bear in my opinion that, I mean, to.
I actually talked that through with Chip, and he
Okay.
was like, I have no clue where to start with that. I said, welcome to the club. No one does, because it's completely new. It's its own beast that we're all gonna be working from scratch to create this.
The basic outline. Parroting, and there are various emails on the subject already, is that the basic outline is we have a responsibility. To work with people in the target neighborhoods. Qualify for taxes over that. January 1, 2021 amount have increased. And you have to make available to them a loan to cover the
Homeowners.
Is it an interest-free loan?
It does not say
It does not say that, but it's so,
just a
it's so short term that I mean, that would be up to us, but
I would recommend against charging interest.
What if we don't get the money back?
Well, the rest of what suggested here, that this may involve us working out an arrangement for revenue. Because in order to apply for the loan, consider for a loan, the property owner would have to qualify for a tax credit. So it's the tax credit is being funded.
an income tax credit against the property tax.
Yeah,
So they would get that back. So
but
could we get that?
that's what we are thinking of suggesting to the revenue cap, and that they allow us to step forward with claiming.
That when they file their taxes, that credit gets paid to us instead. If they have taken out the loan.
They don't say we're taking their money.
But the alternative for them is if they cannot pay the increased amount, they end up with a lien on their property, which is a whole lot worse situation than them paying us $5.
I mean,
That we have went.
Yes.
You want to avoid taking liens on
We want to avoid taking liens and suing homeowners who have defaulted on loans that we've given too.
We just need to make sure that we try to make sure that everybody understands.
So the way to explain it to the revenue cap is that we would prefer not to file a lien. It's a bad word. Okay, we prefer not to file a lien. But at the same time, we have a right to be repaid. And there's an expectation under the statute that we get our money back. So the best way to do that is to allow us to recoup the money directly from the revenue.
That makes it easier for the taxpayer to do, but so they don't have to worry about, I'm gonna have to write this check at a certain time. It then becomes seamless for them.
And to your point about, I know Chip with the arena board, they had really good contacts at the revenue cap that work with us
Okay.
to do things.
Yeah, and I talked to him about the fact that we're gonna have to go together and get them to agree to this.
Yes,
So we're going on the assumption that they have a
Well, in order to get a loan, the statute says they have to qualify.
Yeah.
That's the.
Well, that's
To have under tax liability.
exactly, which is why we want, hopefully the revenue cabinet will say this credit will be payable to you all regardless of where.
They're intended to assign.
That's what I want to propose to them, is that they assign the proceeds of the credit to us. If they have been, as a.
What is the proceeds of the credit? Isn't after the tax liability that they may have,
Well,
it's not
they
as
still-
much.
The credit's the credit.
Yes,
Like, we would just say, don't offset their tax liability.
that's right. They still owe, they still have that tax.
Okay.
We come first.
And if I might add, based on the PBA sessions that I've been attending, this is gonna be another PR challenge, because people have in their minds, oh, I'm getting a refund.
Right.
Oh, I'm getting a reimbursement. Oh, so that whole terminology. And it didn't hurt that at that first meeting with Colleen Younger, she even misrepresented. And that's why I had to have a conversation with her at the PBA. She used the refund. And it's not a refund. And it is not for their whole tax bill.
Yes.
It's for the increase, the difference. And we have to really figure out whether we're using January 1, 2021, as the legislation says, or based on the fact that the 30 million was raised in 2022, if we're using January 1, 2022, as David Morris stated in our conversation. So there's a lot
The
to be dealt with there.
legislation said 2020.
Yeah, it's kind of
We're just gonna have to be very clear as we roll this out and
Yeah.
educating,
yeah.
and making it very simple for people to understand. And that, like I said, that's where I think experts will help.
One of the post
Yeah.
arrow.
Yeah, so,
And we need some. Dr. Wade has to help us with them.
Yes.
Exactly.
Because what we're really trying to avoid, the whole mechanism is, okay, everybody, your tax liability is going. If you're not able to pay this increased amount, then there are some folks who are disadvantaged because of their economic condition, they end up with a lien. This whole process keeps people from ending up in that predicament.
it's because of the increase,
Yeah,
not because of the, you're gonna be in.
you can have.
And they
still
qualify,
Right,
they qualify for program because the tax credit has some limits. I mean, it's not everybody who qualifies for tax credit. You
Yeah.
had to have owned the residential property as of January 1st, 2021 to qualify for this
So
tax.
does that also like follow on the heirs?
Yes,
That's-
and that's gonna get screwed. You have to be a lineal descendant or inherit the property.
Lots of, lots.
So this is really, we're gonna have to do some careful communication, but the good news is. People are gonna get their new tax bill, their literal bill in November. So we've got some time to develop our talking. To do a road show. To get everybody. Up to speed on what we're offering them and what their rights and responsibilities. But under the statute, have to do education.
right.
And it says that we were,
And we don't have to do more than one.
yeah, oh, yes, oh, no,
So the Urban League, and there's another group that does taxes at the library. And there's several groups that operate within the West End that do legal taxes. When do they start training their people? How do we have them?
well, this is what I would suggest. I think that we need to have like a standalone.
I think
Separate
separate
from-
alone, but like.
Separate from the income tax file process. Because it's my understanding that the urban league deals with the income tax
Okay.
filing process,
Hmm,
but this is property tax
tax.
process, which is
But they're getting the credit on their
It,
state.
it affects both. That's why this is such a bizarre mechanism crossing two different types of tax law.
Well, I mean, the public doesn't know how this stuff works on a good day. And then expansion, and then we're the messengers. And
But the property taxes won't be due until November.
they won't be issued until the
Yeah, November 1st is when they go out.
first part of next.
You can get a discount if you pay before January 1st, but they're taking.
Yeah, you get a discount if you pay by December 1st, and then from December to January 1st, face value. And then after January, then the penalty kicks in.
And then they get a lot of the credit on their taxes.
Yeah.
they can sell tax news. Western, right? And that's still on effect.
That's a good question.
We can find it.
But it's gonna be, we're gonna be learning as we kind of go here. Only thing is, we just need to make sure that we, are transparent, and when we get information, get it out and as quickly as we can, in the most understandable way for people to understand.
Is there any estimate on what our maximum exposure might be on?
I mean, how many people are gonna have to profit money?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
And that
was.
and hopefully the PBA.
Figure out.
Information about the aggregate increase.
And they just mentioned last night at the meeting that I attended at the Sports and Learning Center, if there's anything we need, the PBA, any info, they're there to help in whatever way they can. So they've been very, very supportive. But that's where this started coming up.
Well, make sure to talk to revenue head and maybe get everybody there, try to come up with.
Mhm.
Yeah, the question for us is in the 9 neighborhoods, what is the universe of people?
Right.
Who own property and qualify for tax credit?
Mhm.
Who
That
owns
narrows it.
property. You know,
No.
exactly.
Hmm.
It's whatever the incremental increase is since the last change in value.
Yeah, it doesn't set it up to such and such and that. This is whatever the increase is. After.
Right. If they ask, I mean,
They're gonna ask.
but I would think that if we do a good enough education. I hope somebody, that's.
But it
one of the things.
It would be a good thing for us to figure out the exposure and how much money are we willing to.
How are we gonna manage the application? Because lots of people are gonna ask.
Who don't qualify.
That's where something they're gonna have to get qualified to. They qualify, then we're gonna have to get confirmation from someone else. Or else we can't become the big
Right.
IRS.
Right.
That's right.
That when you. On the Portland Festival, and we used to have. You had special rates for Portland residents. You had people that, well, I'm from Portland. You have to live here. Like, well, but my grandmother lived there, and like, all of this stuff, so like, we're gonna have slumlords saying that they're lineal descendants. Somebody's gotta pick their whole thing. So I mean, how are we gonna staff that? We'll figure that out.
We have to.
That's what our charge is on that statute.
That's why
Probably.
that little, bombshell and subsection Q of that statute. Lessons on them to do it, so we have to figure out how to administer.
Amy, is it just for residents, right?
It's only residential and they had to own it as of January
Right.
1st.
So when you start narrowing it down, if they have to be residents, and then of those residents, they have to qualify through the process of the tax, and that's very specific. So we can we can really determine what that specific number is, right? Yeah,
And
not,
EPA records
yeah.
to cross-reference for ownership day.
So if
Mhm.
I'm paying property and I'm leasing it to somebody, I don't.
You don't,
qualify.
No, no, so residents only,
which is helpful.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
yeah. Because the majority of people living in those neighborhoods are renters. So maybe about what, 29% homeowners?
And that they might be, I mean, there's information like that available
Right.
in the city,
Mm-hmm.
the number of homes.
Mm-hmm.
Areas.
I think it's
That could give us a
Mhm.
kind of feel of what kind of damage. Damage.
But I warned you that, yeah, we're gonna be asking for help of how much do we need to set aside for this?
But again, like I said, once you get some information, you can see of that, you can figure out how many, the percentage and how many, and then what the average value is. You come up with. I think it's some type of ballpark figure, in my opinion. But you gotta gather the information from the government agency.
Mhm.
So we won't know what the increase is in Florida River.
Yeah. When the tax bill is done.
Are they releasing the assessments?
This one, yeah, their assessment, but remember there are 2 appeals. Periods.
But
So
we should,
somebody think that there's change.
but we should get some average increase percentages since the last assessment. That should be announced.
Last time they did this, but then they made me feel that 9 around 46. So
I think they extended the appeal period this time by 10 days. So when the letters go out this Friday, they have to May 15 at 4 o'clock to appeal. And then there's another appeal process in July. And then they added another evaluation. So if you live in the West End, say you lived in your home for 50 years and you either chose not to or didn't have the resources to upgrade it, and then someone comes and buys a house next door to you and puts all new granite countertops, wood floors, blah, blah, blah. You're not gonna be compared, your tax to that house. Your house would be compared with another 50-year-old house or in that category. So they added that to try to level the playing field because they were getting a lot of complaints about that. So that will help in terms of the tax assessments.
Dr. Crowder, you've been quiet. You got anything?
Just listening. Yeah, taking into account everything that's going on. Yeah, definitely listening, observing, but I don't have nothing to add at the moment. Thank you, though.
I mean. Any other comments on that?
I think I don't want this to be like the first public meeting that we have here. I think that's risky, what are the benefits? Have something before that. What's in that? You talk about, this finance things, I talk about. Yeah. That,
And we still have to get those scheduled. So yes, I hear what you're saying, the required neighborhood outreach. It might be helpful to have some of those scheduled. So
That is start talking.
That's a good breakout. That's a great.
That is good. Agreed.
Because
this shouldn't be our thing.
those meetings, we're going to be asking. What would you like to see happen in your meeting?
Right.
What do you think is this?
You definitely, a couple of them.
Yeah.
And then, they can start forming a vision.
All right. Laura, you got anything else to update on or anything?
Um, Just to say real briefly, the last board meeting, she was the, it was Sheila. But at the last board meeting, Rita and I talked about, looking for rental space, and we're still in the process of doing it. And, the location cost and they are more, we'll be back to this. To talk about.
I'm asking, what about the retreat? We're gonna have to.
Oh, yes, and Dr. Craddock and a group of folks from the University of. We have been working with them on developing the curriculum, so that's all pinned down, and it's based on. Remember our board meeting. What back last summer, where the board approved the subjects for the training. Dr. Craddock has a group of folks associated with the university who can cover that. Rita sent out
Doodle poll.
a doodle poll to find out from board members what are the best dates for the training. What dates
We had 8 dates that we're looking at. Right now, the most popular dates are, well, we have Friday and Saturday, not necessarily consecutive. Right now, June 23rd and June 24th consecutively are the top 2. But, once we get everybody's response, because we stayed away from like Memorial Day weekend, Father's Day, Derby. So there's 8 dates between now and then. May 19th was a pretty good date too, but I don't know if we would be ready then. But Dr. Craddock is here and can maybe speak to that in terms of what we're doing. But the
Yeah.
doodle poll, yeah, go ahead, Dr. Craddock.
Okay, I'm sorry to cut you off, but yeah, so we had we had the opportunity to meet with Miss Rita, Miss Laura, about a week or so ago to discuss the different modules and the areas that I guess was situated by the state in regards to board training in those different modules. So from there, we brought together a few faculty, as well as a minority-owned consultant that does this work around board training. They're meeting this upcoming Friday to really put together the remaining part of the curriculum to make sure everyone's on the same page. And then from there, they're going to send those draft documents to Rita and Laura to review about potential next steps. So it's about 4 different individuals as a part of the team. 3 work here at the university, 1 outside the university. And the training is really meant for individuals to better understand the responsibilities as it relates to the board, but also what role you play on being on the board moving forward.
And Dr. Craddock, I didn't add those other 4 to the doodle poll. I thought maybe I'd send it out to the board first. But if we need to have some input so they'll know what's trending right now in terms of those dates, because I just thought about the fact that there may be one of those 8 dates that one of those 4 individuals may absolutely not be able to. So,
Yeah, once you get those top dates, I can share them with them on Friday when we meet.
okay.
Mhm.
I'll send you an email and let you know what's trending, okay?
Okay, thank you.
In terms of availability.
Yes, ma'am.
Train's done, so. I'd say sometime during the next couple.
It's good.
Yeah.
Rita, you got anything?
Do I have anything relative to?
Update there.
No, I think, the PBA stuff and then what's going on with the board training. I think we're good on that. The only other thing we need to, I guess you'll get to it on the agenda is the 9/90. Yeah, because May is around the corner.
Yeah, and I still just have the, DMLO is still gonna get me something, but I still have just the proposal from Tony Levy. Who does live and work in the TIP area. And I did some checking around as far as the fee, and everyone tells me that's a very standard fee. So it's not inflated or anything. And she quoted 2,500 to 2,000. So when I get one more, I can send it around and move on. Yeah.
She lives in the California, I mean, she works in the California area, her business, but she doesn't live.
Oh.
Yeah, just so you know, she lives outside, but she's been here. I mean, she's got all the space and everything. And so last when I did the 990,
What about your guy? Did he send anything in?
He was limited and said he wanted to bid on it, but I haven't gotten the proposal yet, but today's tax day. so-
yeah, that's true. And that's probably why Alicia, because she was planning on being on the call, but today's tax day. But the thing is, it was, when I had, that person to look at what I had, just to look at what I had done was 2,500. I mean, it wasn't quoted or anything. It's just that I didn't want them to feel like we wanted them to do it for free. No, I'm sorry, it was not 2,500, it was 250, just to review it. I'm sorry. Clarify, 250, not 2,500.
Well, you just need to get the rest of those and then fix them back.
Yeah, but we do have one from a person whose business is in the district.
Yeah.
Is a fair, appears to be a fair. price.
Yes.
And I would say, I would lean towards that, and she's representing, she's been there.
Yeah, she sits in California. Her business is in the California neighborhood.
So, man, as we look for people, social workers, people in the districts and in the neighborhoods, definitely want to try to make sure that, that's a part of this, part of this going and looking at that people.
When all things are equal, that's a plus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
okay. Anything else? Mike, you got anything?
I'm in.
Alright, is there a motion to adjourn?
Well, quickly, were people okay giving retroactive proof payment?
For this time, do we need a motion for
Technically,
county, where motion? So move their second. Any other discussion? All in favor? Alright.
And he said, Dr. Craddock gave thumbs up.
Alright.
And I will-
Sign that.
yeah, and I will have, Rita attest to it and not me, since it's my first. I just felt weird typing it this morning.
Do we need to sign that there?
If you don't mind, go ahead and sign it. Right, and I've started, essentially a record book of the resolutions, so that they're handy. That's the 18th. The 18th.
You can read it.
Yeah, I'll get her.
I know. Alright, well, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you, sir.
meeting is adjourned.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Craddock. Thank you.
Thank y'all. See y'all later. Have a good one.
Okay. All right.
Don't forget to get